We are back on Inside Politics today. Our guest is Lieutenant Governor of the state of Tennessee, Randy McNally. Governor McNally, before I go in the other issues, we've got one other question about the drag show enforcement. It's going to be up, I think, to individual district attorneys, which may open, given the things you're talking about, they have to interpret, well, is this a violation of the Obscenity Act and things like that. Are you worried about inconsistent or very different enforcement of that law all across the state?
Well, that occurs with any law that we pass. That you know, it's up to the DAs to make that decision as to whether to prosecute or not. And most of the DAs are fairly knowledgeable about the law, and in fact, one of the three in my area actually served in the legislature.
There's also a bill that I think has passed the House that would require drag performers to register with the state. Do you think that's, two questions, do you think that's going to pass in the Senate, and does that raise any concerns to you about First Amendment rights?
Well, it does raise concerns about First Amendment rights, and I don't know where it is in the Senate. I assume it's in committee, but you know, I'll just have to see how it gets amended and if it gets changed at all.
Last year, in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling overturning the Roe v. Wade decision about abortion, Tennessee's all but banned that procedure. Now, there's some Republicans who want to look for some exceptions to that. There was some talk about doing exceptions for rape and incest. That appears to be dead for the session. It does appear to be one bill that may do that for the life of the mother or the life of the child. You've said you're very comfortable with the abortion law the way it is. You don't seem to be supporting any changes. You've also said that efforts to grant an exemption for the life of the mother only has about a 50-50 chance to pass.
Well, that was a figure that an attorney had given to me, and it also was, I think it was, you know, just kind of a estimate.
State Attorney General has also issued a ruling, I think it was last week, that basically said he would be more comfortable defending the state law if there were some exceptions in the law.
Yeah.
You have said you are very comfortable with the law. Does what the AG tells you give you some reason to think, well, maybe we ought to put some exceptions in?
Well, I think so. I think so. That, you know, any way that we can improve it where its chances are improved in court, I think are reasonable.
Another change in state law that at least is being contemplated is a law that's going to go into effect this year. People now want to either repeal it or defer it, which is that takes effect and requires third graders across the state. They're now reading at grade level by third grade to be retained in third grade. Now, that's creating a lot of concern among educators and obviously among parents. What do you think? Should we hold up on that, or go ahead and make the law come effect right away?
Well, I support the law. There are a number of exemptions in the law, and there is one that actually gives the parents a right to appeal that's in the law.
One of the problems this year, though, is that because the state, it's all based on the state testing, and the state testing, as you know, historically, does not come back early. It usually comes back late. Some teachers are saying they won't even know what to do with these kids before school ends, where they could get them into summer school. They may have to tell the kids and the parents during the summer. And it's estimated up to 2/3 of Tennessee third graders may be impacted by that. That's a lot of people.
Right, and we're going to try to get those test results a lot quicker. And like I said, there are exemptions in there, and also Tennessee is not in a good place when you have, you know, about only 1/3 of the students are reading at grade level, and that means once a child's behind in reading or in math, then they just kind of stay behind, and many times just get promoted and really don't learn anything.
This week, both the full state House and the state Senate passed a bill that would cut the size of Nashville's Metro Council from 40 to 20 members. There have been a number of bills that are sort of anti-Nashville bills this term. Largely, it seems, perhaps based on the council deciding not to seek the 2024 presidential election for the presidential convention for the Republicans. With this bill that's been passed and the governor's already signed it into law, has Nashville been punished enough?
Well, I don't think the bill is actually to punish Nashville. I think there's good reason to have the council at a smaller size.
Well, let me ask you that. Let me ask a quick question about on that very topic. The Nashville's had a 40-member council for 60 years.
Right.
Approved twice by the voters, once to put it at 40, and another one to keep it at 40 after there was an effort back in 2017 to take it down to 27. In all 60 years, there's never been legislation like this in the legislature, this idea that it's good government. Why hasn't it been good government years before now to have this bill before?
Well, there is a statute that says that the council can have up to a maximum number of members, and it's either 20 or 25, I forget which.
It's 20.
20. And Nashville is an exemption to it. It's an outlier, and we feel that, you know, the council would do a lot better with 20 members.
Randy McNally, the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Tennessee and also the Speaker of the State Senate, is our guest on Inside Politics. Back to continue our conversation on the other side of these messages. Stay with us.